Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Party on Broad. Joining me today is my co-host. He is Rob. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What's going on, Rob?
I'm not too much, man. I'm excited to get going here tonight. How you doing? I know you are having a great night. I know you're having a great night.
So my local movie theater is selling giant bags of popcorn, and they give away 2 free movie tickets. So I think that's their way of like counterbalancing all the crap that's happening with the COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got a giant, like 10-pound bag, Santa Claus bag size of popcorn. I got some Tito's here, and we're talking Madden, man. Life is good, right?
And life is wonderful. I wish I had the popcorn, but I'm still excited to be talking Madden.
So, little announcement. Party on Broad is joining a whole network of podcast teams. We are going to be the Eagles in this Daddy League league titled National Football Quarantine League, the NFQL. We are going to be the Eagles. The 2020 season has just ended. The Super Bowl is tomorrow night. It's Friday, by the way. And the draft starts on Sunday. So this is our first glimpse at our squad, man. What is going to be exciting about this is we're going to be in a network of podcasts all across the country of teams, the Raiders, the Bills, everyone. And it's going to bring some really fun opportunities to bring in guests, talk about football, and just have some fun, man. Right, Rob?
I'm really excited for this. As a kid who grew up on Madden, to kind of tie in 2 things I really love, which is obviously doing the podcasting and kind of go back to our childhood a little bit with Madden, man. This is going to be fun. And, the franchise mode was always the best, right? And you always were like, you play a couple games in a season, then you're like, oh, man, I just want to get to the offseason and figure out how I can make this team better, what I would do to make it better.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to do here. I mean, we're really just an off-season type of organization.
Yeah, so we have some clear decisions to make because the offseason starts Sunday, man. So we're kind of deep diving into this right now. So you are going to be experiencing this as much as we are. Rob and I are just looking at this for essentially the first time. We're going to look at our roster. We're going to look at our player ratings. We're going to kind of talk about some decisions to be made moving forward because free agency, the draft, is just around the corner. Ready to do this, Rob?
I'm ready, man. Let's go.
All right, here we go. So let's look at our roster. So we are the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a tough year, man. They finished 5-11 on the season. Again, this is after the 2020 season. So this season has just ended. We finished 5-11. What's your response to that?
Look, I know they got a tough schedule, but 5-11 seems a bit extreme to me. But it's funny because I kind of glanced at this stuff last night, and if the stats play out like that in real life, then yes, 5-11 is very actually foreseeable. If we'll talk about guys like Marquise Goodwin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We get on here, but I'm going to look at this season as not a trend. I'm going to look at it as a one season, kind of anomaly here. So we'll see, though. I'm interested to see what they think about our players on this roster.
To be fair, no one controlled this team. So it's computer simulated. We're not taking over for anybody. So my guys here at the NFQL, so we are taking this team from scratch. All right, let's look at our roster here, man. It looks like our offense was pretty much the middle of the pack here, man. 22 points a game. Just basically an average offense. Is that something that's realistic that could possibly happen in 2020? Do you think, Rob?
I do. I said on one of our recent podcasts, I need to see more from Doug Peterson as an X's and O's guy. There's a lot of question marks when it comes to the skill positions, right? Is the going to stay healthy? What is Jalen Reagor going to give you in year one?
Yeah.
All those kind of things. So I do think that's a possibility. I hope it isn't. I hope that Carson Wentz and these guys kind of click from the word go this year. But it's a question I have about this offense and the way Doug Peterson calls it. And the fact that there's no true offensive coordinator, a little concerning.
So, yeah, you look at the key players on offense for this squad. I mean, obviously, the offensive line has to stay healthy. When Brandon Brooks went down, it was over. That guy was such a key anchor for the offensive line. But going to the skill positions, Miles Sanders, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, guys like that, Jalen Reagor, those guys have to step up. I mean, how much we talked about this last night on our podcast about overrated and underrated members of the Philadelphia Eagles. You had Deshaun Jackson as overrated. I mean, that you can't deny that, man. This guy doesn't stay on the field. So the Eagles are absolutely relying on these young guys to step up. However, there's a history of young guys not stepping up. So it's definitely realistic, man. It's a major concern. All right, so we have our most expensive players. No surprise there. Well, there is one surprise. Alshon Jeffrey is still on the roster.
Well, guess what? He's not going to be on the roster next season, okay? I don't know about you, but I think that's first move for us in the offseason is saying goodbye to him and that $17 million cap hit he's got there.
Right on, man. Right on. There's no way Alshon Jeffrey's on this roster.
Yeah.
And then we get to our top players. We got Cox, Brooks, Kelsey, Ertz, Lane Johnson. No shockers there. Let's move down. NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys finished 12-4 by the Giants 10-6.
Listen, this is one of those nobody had the Eagles, right? Nobody was playing with the Eagles. It's a conspiracy. We're hated by everyone. Look, I got my Jason Kelsey shirt on today that says no one likes us and we don't care. I'm calling conspiracy on this 5-11 season. The Giants cannot go 10-6 next year. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. I'll tell you right now.
All right, we before we get into more about the Philadelphia Eagles, we have to look at this, man. We got to.
Fifth in offense. I get third in rushing.
All right, so they do have a good offense. The Giants, if there's anything about this team, is they could have potential on offense. It's the defensive side, I think, that have the most question marks about the New York Giants.
They were the fantastic defense.
My boy from Temple, man, the Temple University, is leading the Giants in passing. 29 touchdowns. Oh my God, that is awesome.
What is happening here? What is happening? You have that. You have the fact that they had the second best passing yardage given up defense. Come on. We're going to end that. We're going to end that in 2021.
Rob, this made my night, man. I am so happy. If this was real life, I've already said on our podcast that the second that Sean Bradley, linebacker that the Eagles drafted in, I think, the 6th round, I'm buying that jersey. I do not believe in buying current players' jerseys. I don't. However, I am such a huge Temple Owls fan, man. That would be so amazing. I'm not saying I would buy a Giants jersey. My willpower would be absolutely tested. But Philip Walker's legit, man. He's a good player. He's a good player.
He is a good player. I would be stunned if in reality the Giants moved on from Daniel Jones that quickly.
Unless he got hurt. Maybe he got hurt.
Maybe. I mean, let's say he only threw like 4 passes, it looked like.
Wow, look. Philip Walker went to a 79 overall. All right. Wow, man. This is man.
Wait, did they actually have Kareem Hunt?
I don't think so.
Did I miss that?
I don't think so. So I don't know if this team.
Somebody made a trade.
Right. I don't know if this team's owned. I don't know which teams are owned in the league yet. I'll talk to the owner, Chris, here. But that's wild. 10-6 for the Giants. I mean, obviously, the surprise of the year if that were to ever happen. Yeah. Redskins 5-11. That's pretty much no surprise there. We have free agents coming up. We have Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, Darius Slay Jr., Dallas Goedert, and Miles Sanders. Any quick thoughts about that?
So that would be after the upcoming season, correct?
Correct.
We have to call for one more season.
Correct.
I think that this is a year where you got to try and lock Miles Sanders up. I think that, that you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're trying to get a running back again, and we're in the same boat we're always in. That's a quick one. I think Dallas Goedert as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Jason Kelsey's going to be mulling retirement soon. God.
They have a lot of money to spend here, man. A lot of money. When I look at this, you obviously are paying Fletcher Cox tons and tons of money on this. Darius Slay, you got to give him the money. Goddard, I don't know what you do with Goddard because Zach Ertz is. I don't know what the contract looks like. Is that going to be fair to have two huge amounts, so much amounts of money in the tight end position? And
I tell you what, it's going to matter on what you do with the wide receiver position. Then, like if you're not better your wide receiver position, then you almost have to have these two guys, right? Because we've talked about this season that they need both of their tight ends to play really well because of the way that their roster is constructed right now.
Absolutely. And then Miles Sanders, I mean, how much money do you pay a running back in today's NFL? So this is a really interesting 2020 offseason here is I know we're a year away from this, but that's a lot of money. That honestly, unless Kelsey comes back on and I could see it happening because Kelsey's the man. There's no way they can afford him after this year.
He would have to come back on a hometown discount, a major hometown discount.
For sure. Let's go down. Yeah. All right. Regular season leaders. Carson Wentz threw for 33 touchdowns, 3,700 yards. Jalen Hurts had 4 pass attempts, and I guess is this his first year?
Yeah, this would be his first year.
So if Jalen Hurts has 4 pass attempts in his rookie year, and you took him in the second round, I don't know, man. I think I would be pretty upset. What about you?
I would too. The thing that's confusing me is it says 2021 regular season. Have there been 2 years played? That's what I'm confused about.
I am very sure. Let's look at the standings.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity. I mean, either way. It says standings for 2021. Let's see what happened in 2020.
So maybe there was 2 years.
So we're getting in 2 years into this thing a little bit. So those guys are all going to be free agents this year then?
That doesn't make sense. Jason Kelsey, unless he signed a 1-year deal or a 2-year, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. Let's just go down to because once we know how many years Jalen Reagor has played, then we'll know where we're at.
Yes.
All right, so he has 2 years experience. So this is absolutely 2 years from now. All right, so that changes things. All right, well, meanwhile,
7 and 9 and 11. They're going backwards right now.
Yeah. So let's look at Jalen Reagor. What has he done with the Philadelphia Eagles? He's a 77 overall right now. He's got 2 years left on his deal. Let's look at career stats. Uh, 2021, he had 88 receptions, 802 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a long of 24. I expect Jalen Reagor to have a long of 24, at least once a game.
He better score more than 3 touchdowns. I'll tell you that right now. I need more than 3 touchdowns out of him.
Right on, man. All right, let's look at his attributes. I want to see where that speed is at. Speed is a 98 and 96 acceleration. That's pretty good.
And he only had a 24-yard touchdown. Something's wrong there.
His long reception was a 24.
Wow.
Although this is pretty nice. The stamina is a 95.
Yeah. I will take a 95 stamina.
For for a team that's been decimated by injuries, that's not bad. I'll take it.
No.
All right, so we are actually in not the 2020 season. We are ending the 2021 season right now.
Okay.
That's really interesting. All right, let's go into Miles Sanders. He led the team with 722 yards, 6 touchdowns. James White is on the roster. How about that? Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Marquise Goodwin led the team in receptions, 875 yards and 9 touchdowns. We just talked about Goodwin, about how he's probably not making the final 53.
Yeah. No. Guess what? I'm trading him today. I'm trading him today. Oh, Marquise Goodwin around here. That's why you're 5-11.
Wow, that's wild.
God. They were getting beat up.
Yeah, we have decisions to make, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's look at Miles Sanders. 200 attempts, 3.6 average. That's not good enough, man. That's not good enough for Miles Sanders.
Enough at all. And that's, if that's from the offensive line not blocking, I mean, that's really bad.
All right. So obviously we're 5-11. We're gonna have a top 10 draft pick. I mean, the goal should be protecting Carson and building up and giving Miles Sanders lanes. So my first thought is we address the offensive line. We'll look at that. All right.
Yeah. And see, I look at this, right, and I say, okay, Reagor had an okay second year. I would like to see more touchdowns. I'd like to see some longer plays. But if Marquise Goodwin is your leading wide receiver, I believe that you're going to need to upgrade that position mightily, because that should never be the case. So whether it's free agency or not, we'd have to see who's free agency.
Check this out, man. Miles Sanders, 642 yards on the ground, and then 722 yards on the ground. I mean, you walk on the streets of Philadelphia, there is a significant buzz about Miles Sanders being the next star running back in the NFL. That's not good enough, and that's not what we're talking about here. I wonder, is there any way to look at his receiving yards? Because I think that's important too.
Yeah, I think that plays a role for sure. I'm not sure if it's that option. Well, they're doing it by game. They give you his receiving yard. You could do it like each game, but I mean, we'd have to really go through that.
So I personally want to look at our offensive scheme and see if we can open that up a little bit. That's my first gut.
I gotta tell you, when you talk about a 7-9 season followed by a 5-11 season off half the year before, is it time to look at Doug? Is it time to maybe make a coaching switch?
I know. I mean,
that's the thought process.
Right. You wouldn't think so, but I mean, the writing would be on the wall there. Absolutely. I think a 7-9 season, even if the Eagles finish 7-9, I think Doug is safe. But a 5-11 season
after a 7-9 season, it's a rough go there.
Oh man, I can't believe Alshon's still on this roster.
We have to look at the depth chart, because I am just astonished at the names that are popping up on our roster here. I have to see what the hell the depth chart is right now. There it is.
All right. So clearly, I don't know that. Oh, here's the defense is still middle of the pack. And so we have.
Goodbye, Jim Schwartz. I've had enough of Jim Schwartz. I'm done. I'm out. See that? I'm coming in.
Here's problem number one. Here is problem number one. If Andre Dillard is a rated 73 overall 2 years from now, we've got major problems.
I agree. Especially when Prince Tega Wanongo is rated the same thing.
That's a major problem. That tells you everything you need to know about the offensive line. That is a crazy concern, especially when you look at Kelsey's 34, Brooks is 33, and Lane Johnson's 32. Oh my God, man, that's a. They're going to be completely rebuilding this offensive line.
Yeah. Oh my God! And you look at the backups; you don't have a ton of hope there. Not a lot going on. Jordan Mailata never became anything.
Wow, that I think that pretty much tells the story right there. And then we have Carson Wentz, 85 overall. Jalen Hurts is a 69. Nice. Desmond Ritter, I don't know who that is.
No.
That is a 62 overall. So you got Carson Wentz backed up by two 23-year-olds. I can't remember the last time the Eagles have done something like that. Have two young.
They need a veteran back. They need to get a veteran backup in here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Bring in Josh McCown. Come on, man. What's he like?
They need to play again
now?
Is that a little injury thing next to Miles Sanders?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's check it out.
Because that would say a lot. If there was a little injury on him.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like an injury. Career stats.
It says, he got 200 attempts, so he had to play a good amount this season.
I don't know how to look that up right now.
Yeah.
So
right. He'll be healthy next year.
Let's hope so. Hopefully there's no coronavirus in this game and there is an off season.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to find out pretty quickly how ruthless I could be as a general manager with some of these guys.
All right.
Like, I'm looking at this roster, and I hate everything about this roster.
Yeah,
I hate it.
We have work. All right, we got Alshon. He's a 80 overall. Jalen's a 77. Arcega-Whiteside is 76. That's pretty good. From how I perceive, that'd be a success story.
Yes.
Goodwin is 75. Zacchaeus is 67. Ertz, Goddard. All right, Ertz and Goddard are 90 and 83 overall. All right, so obviously that's the strength of the team. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And so I don't see any of our recent draft picks on this roster.
No. So it is a total overhaul. Okay, this has got to be a year where free agency. They spend. They got to draft well. We got to look at all the draft picks we have and see where to go from there.
Absolutely. All right, Graham is still on the roster. That's good. All right, he's an 80. Where is Derek Barnett?
Derek Barnett is gone, and Sharif Miller's up. Is our starting right end? Are you serious? No wonder they went 5-11.
The only good thing about this is Shaka Tony. I need to know who that guy is because that is a hell of a name.
Yeah.
And apparently Fletcher Cox got hurt, so there it is.
Yeah. So the injury bug bit again. We need a new training staff.
Dude, this is bad.
This roster is atrocious. It's an atrocious roster. What are the linebackers? I'm afraid.
All right, and then we get to linebacker and the star, the future of the Philadelphia Eagles is some guy named Josh Ross, a 23-year-old legit superstar. According to Madden, he's 23 years old. You got him for 3 years. He's on a rookie year deal. Man, what's your reaction to that?
I love it. I questioned if they made these picks because it wasn't Howie, because Howie doesn't value the linebacker position. So maybe they knew we were coming in and we were going to value that position. I don't know. But you see him, the left outside, I guess the strong side linebacker is a guy by the name of Beckwith, who's rated at a 75. He's another young kid. I think, 27? So all of a sudden there's young talent at the linebacker position for the Eagles, which I guess is good because of all the other moves we're going to have to make this team better.
Yeah, man. You look at TJ Edwards. He's only a 67 overall. Just like many skill position guys on offense for the Eagles. If that happens and he doesn't progress at linebacker, that could be a major, major issue in real life for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Troy Dye. I mean, Troy Dye, Josh Ross, like this is like there's been a lot of crap on this roster so far. I like the linebacker spot here, man. There's definitely something to work with here. Not defensive end, the linebacker spot. Let's keep going. And when we have defensive backs, Darius Slay obviously is the premier. Trevor Williams and Avante. Avante got up to an 80. Trevor Williams is an 80. Josh Joby, don't know who that is. Perry Nicholson, 71. Rodney McLeod is still on the roster.
Andre Cisco is an 80. Who is Andre Cisco?
I don't know, but there's Kevin Wallace. He is a 71 overall.
It's only his second year. We got time for that. We got time to develop.
He's young. I would like to see more progression there, obviously. Yeah. Let's click on Kayvon because that is a huge player for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Let's see what his development track looks like. Star. Okay. So
all right, we're okay. We're okay.
All right. So
I'll take that out of Kayvon.
You know what? There are some young pieces on defense here that are kind of interesting, man.
Who is this? We got to look at this Andre Cisco kid that's 22 years old, ranking as an 80 already at the free safety position. I mean, that's
wow.
That's pretty special.
So you have
this kid. Is he a real human being? They picture for this guy from Syracuse.
So you have two potential superstars at linebacker and free safety here that are going to be the core of the defense moving forward.
And if you look, he was their first round pick after the 2020 season. He was drafted at number 13 overall. So they said, we want to shore up that back end. So maybe, just maybe, we're building a good secondary. We have to. Real quick from the defensive side, we got to fix that right end situation. I do not know if I want Sharif Miller being my starter at the right end. I don't even want Sharif Miller on my roster. So, therefore, I would like to definitely shore up that right end. You have Hargraves. We're going to have to make a decision on Fletcher Cox and what to do there. But let's put it this way: there are major holes. But if we run this offseason the right way, we can really make some legwork and make things up and be much better next year.
I agree, man. I think there's a lot of work to be done, but when you look at the core on defense, that definitely is the bright spot. I think the offensive line needs to be addressed. I think the skill positions need to be addressed. And obviously the defensive line needs to be addressed. So we have a top 10 pick in this coming draft that is being held on Sunday. If you guys are watching this, feel free to join in. Let us know what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, what you think we should target, what we shouldn't address. That would be really, really fun. So the more engagement we get, the better. Any last comments, Rob?
I will say this. I think me and you have to have a discussion here, Chris. 7-9 one year, 5-11 the other. We may need to look at Dougie P. And the offense is fluttering. They are not doing what we need him to do, and that's supposed to be his bread and butter. Carson Wentz seems to be playing well enough that they should be winning more than 5 games a year. So that might be a decision that has to be made this year.
Absolutely. So shore up the lines, get some skill position guys, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so make sure you check out Rob on Twitter at Philly_Madness. Check out the Madness podcast. What's going on with that, man?
So right now, we're not doing as many episodes as what we typically do when we're doing it weekly. But we got some things in the works. We're hoping to get some nice guests on to have a little bit of fun. It's tough right now just until but hopefully, hockey's coming back. Hopefully we start hearing some good things about the other sports and we can really start rolling them out there. But you can get anything. You can get Philly Madness on the YouTube channel at the Painted Lines, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Go check us out and subscribe.
Sounds good, man. For Rob, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook.